you're just gonna start it whenever I'm going, and I'm just gonna be talking to people, and they're gonna be like, "What is he rambling about?" And I'm gonna be like, "Mini Stravaganza. Hasn't it been a great day so far, Mini Stravaganza? Did you catch that last stream? It was pretty cool. They were talking about Spec Ops. I loved it. Speaking of Spec Ops, speaking of Legion, we're gonna paint some bugs. Geonosis. Because Mini Extravaganza is continuing. It's a non-stop hype train to the end of the day. Then we can all go take a nap. It's going to be great. Maybe get dinner, hopefully. Who knows? Right now, we're going to paint some Geonosians. And I thought it'd be a fun thing to do where we're going to paint a couple different versions of Geonosians. Sort of like, see what we can explore and kind of create with our imagination, and not just this, not just what a box would be, or maybe like the more red color that you see in Clone Wars. So we're gonna explore a couple different variations, broods, right? Geonosians, they're bugs, they're broods. So maybe a couple different broods, and we can have fun with that. So let's kick it to the meat cam. When is the end of the day? You should check out the schedule. We got a schedule. So Tony, also I got a new brush just for this. I did it. I'm not going to use it immediately though. Okay, so I think the very first one I want to do is sort of blood and bone. So I mixed up some brown transparent and a little yellow transparent. We're going to wash this over top of our Zenith primed Geonosian. Does the base come with text? No, it does not. Miniature hobby game. Legion comes with plain bases. I textured my bases. So we're just going to do a little sort of brown wash here. That Geonosis looks so disappointing. That's the thing, is like they all kind of have that like, oh man, not again face. Why do they keep coming to our planet? Why are all these Jedis here? So we're gonna paint several different ones. I have a couple ideas. And who knows how we'll end the stream. Who knows? I want to get this all over. Bold of you to presume there's no tactical rocks in the Geonosian army. Bold. It's a very bold stance you're taking. I'm not talking about cards. Got the wrong stream for cards. We're painting up some Geonosians. Okay, so we're going to let that dry. Okay, so I think the next one I want to do is sort of a night army. Sort of a night strike force. Let's use this fella. I think I'm going to use a little bit of the transparent blue. I think I want to thin that out a little bit deeper with some of the glazed medium. Really thin that out. So this one I'm kind of imagining is like a special brood created for nighttime activities. Sort of a stealth brood.
So Dallas, we do have a question about, it looks like you used 2 different colors of primer for the zenithal. Do you mind hitting a little bit about what zenithal priming is?
Yeah, zenithal priming, you prime the miniature black, and then you come in over the top, from the top down with white. And then that's going to give you some contrast and show you the form of the miniature. And it sort of, when you're painting in this glaze wash style, sort of lets you build in a lot of the preemptive shadow and highlight phase. So it's a nice way to like speed up some processes depending on how you paint. For painting armies, I like painting pretty fast. And for this stream in particular, right, we're trying to come up with a couple different color schemes just for fun, right? So we want to go pretty quick. There are no clear flight stands. That is correct. That is correct. Look, I'm not saying there won't ever not be flight stands. Tony, don't you say it. I actually prefer no flight stands as well. I think you can be more interesting and tell more interesting stories without them. But, you know, if the miniature calls for it, then, you know, the miniature calls for it. How solid is it? I've never had anything break on mine, so I mean, I would say it's pretty solid. But I use plastic glue, and that welds it all together. Okay, while this one is drying, we're going to start the third one. It's all gray plastic, no clear wings. So the third one, I painted silver. We're going to have some fun with this one. This one we're going to make iridescent. So I'm going to use some ink. Going to use some teal ink. We're going to glaze that over top of the silver. I will not be giving out any information on this stream about the Geonosis. Did you look at the schedule on when the Legion roadmap is? You did learn that they're super cool looking miniatures. I agree. This one is prime silver. That's absolutely correct. The schedule gave an outline of what we're kind of talking about in each stream. So I'm going to blend this one a little bit. start the shoulders, work my way down. Do you add basing material and then glue the mini? Glue the mini. I typically glue the mini to the base and then add basing material on it because it makes it feel more integrated. And then also because I want to prime the material, the basing material, because unpainted basing material looks really odd to me. Miniatures, even no matter how realistic you paint them, are sort of a hyper-realized version of stuff. So by adding that hyper-realization to the basing, it ties it together and makes it a more cohesive art piece. All right, so we do a fourth. I'm going to try to do 4. Should I try to do 4? And what should the 4th one be? We have Iridescent, we have Night, and we have Blood and Bone. We have a
The chat
4th.
choose the 4th.
Chat, choose the 4th. I use airbrush primer, Berrig. The reason I use airbrush primer, somebody said magenta and they automatically win. Look, is that somebody who's normally around here? Classic, 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 purple, dark red. I like dark red too. All right. Should we do classic though? Let's do classic. I feel guilty if I don't do classic. You know what? We'll probably do classic later. We're having fun today. Dark red it is. Let's use dark crimson. We'll get some pink in this dark red one. Somebody asked about the wings. Seems fine to me. We do test all the plastics. You want a little bounce in it. We might not finish the red one. We'll see what happens. Same thing. We're going to start with base coats of a wash over the zenith. It's going to give us some contrast. Going to build in some highlights. Going to build in some shadows. Very quick. See how black it is on this side? It's going to create a lot of shadow. It's going to push everything forward to the front of the miniature. Ooh, this dark crimson is great. What color armor would the dark crimson Geonosis have? The Geonosians in the show, in the Clone Wars cartoon, were more red. They're more of a orangey red though. So I kind of like this dark red vibe. Hopefully we get to the wings and we'll discuss the strategy for painting the wings. And how to make them quote, quote, clear. Okay, we're going to do 2 steps on this. We're going to go back to our brown that we already did, the bone color. And I want to put the tiniest little touch of black into that. I want to darken in some select places. I'm going to choose around the eyes, the mouth. So this is just slightly darker than that other layer. I'm going to push that right toward in the recesses at the joints. Deep down in the shadows. How do the wings feel to you from a thickness, delicate? I think the wings feel great. You know, we want to make miniatures that inspire and, you know, are high quality. And we also want to create miniatures that, you know, are true to the characters that we work with. And so that's always a interesting and fine balance that we have to work through. But we always stress test and, you know, try to make miniatures that, you know, are worthy of your tabletop. Yeah, just a little darker here and there. Okay, let's take a little bit of ivory and touch a little bit of that brown wash into it. Oh, this is why I got the new brush. Wings separate on sprue? I don't understand the question there. Most parts are separate on the frame. Let's highlight that little ridge right there, yeah. Let's do some little dots of highlights. What's my favorite faction to paint? I don't know if I have a favorite. I do love painting white armor. And currently for Legion, I have a Clone Force and a Shadow Collective. And I have plans for eventually an Empire Force. A little more ivory. I love these weird bug type creatures because imperfect paint strokes make them more interesting and organic. On average, how many parts are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, something like that. You know, the wings have to come off the back because you can't have that wing behind the leg for drafting reasons. You know, we're not cutting anything up for no reason. So we try to always maintain, you know, the reasons for the cuts are actually obvious once you learn a little bit about the process, but these are not a lot of parts. You know, leg, arm, torso, head. Let's get a little edge highlight along that wing. How's that looking, Tony?
Looking good.
I sort of missed the wash on that one wing, but I think that's fine. We'll figure that out. The B1 head being cut in half. Do you know that little thing that hangs on the back that you have to put on? Do you notice like there's a gap between it and the head? And then you notice that it's 2 nodes, so it has a gap. How do you get that gap in a steel mold without it coming off? That's the question. Let's mix some more black into our brown. Maybe a touch of blue. Let's do some little yeah, it's all about undercuts and draft angles when dealing with hard plastic. A lot of times, like if you're just looking at the frame, you might not understand why something was cut. But if you put the part together, the reason may become more clear on why the part was separated in the first place. And you know, there's no conspiracy on making the part harder. Like it doesn't add cost. It just we have to cut the part to make the frame work. This guy's got some little dots. What do you think of these dots, Tony?
I like that texture. I like it. I think it'd be cool maybe after the fact, you know, go back over it with a little light glaze just to
kind of tie it together.
yeah, just kick it back a little bit, make it feel like it's part of the body part a little more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my paints are very, very thin there. I use very, very thin paints. I do use high-end Kolinsky sables. Let's I like a nice thin paint. I mean, I prefer to buy very thick paint because you know what you can do with paint? Thin it. Do you know what you can't do with paint? Thick it. So I like a nice thick paint to start with, and then I can thin it down the way I want it, or keep it thick depending on the application I'm trying to achieve.
Got a question of somebody asking, do you thin your paints in the bottles or do you always do it on your palette?
Oh no, never in the bottle. Never in the bottle, because I want to keep the paint thick. I want to maintain thickness because then it's useful for a lot of applications. More techniques available. I don't want to reduce the number of things my paint can do. So I just added a little, I want to add I want to thin my paint on my palette. How do you paint, or how do you avoid making your miniature look Christmassy when using green and red? It's the green and red chosen mainly. And then stay away from adding white. But if you're using like bright green and bright red, it's going to look Christmassy. So switching to like a desaturated red or desaturated green or something similar, that's going to get you further. Do you generally paint unit defining markings on the miniature itself? Yes, absolutely. So if I was doing a unit of Geonosis, let's say I'm doing 2 units of Geonosis for my CIS force, I'm gonna do a couple different. I'm gonna do some different markings. I want them to stand out from each other. So that's when I get into. That's why kind of like we're doing this, right? I'm thinking about those different broods. So maybe I would think about how to tie 2 units together, but use maybe some of the same colors here and there. Oh, Tony, look at this guy.
I'm digging the red.
Yeah, I think I'm going to add a little orange to highlight. Yeah, maroon and olive. It's less likely to invoke Christmas than, cherry red and, holly green. It's also the ratios a lot of times. But yeah, definitely just avoid just using cherry red and holly green.
I mean ratio, like if you're doing a miniature that's primarily red but just has like these little spots of green, is less likely to appear Christmassy than if they're in even amounts?
Yeah, even amounts. We're just gonna do a black wash over the blaster. We're not gonna fully render the blaster today, but I do want to black it out just so it feels not so prominent. So we're going to use a black wash to kind of make it disappear a little bit here. All right, what do we think about this brood?
I'm loving the colors. I want to see what your plans are for the wings.
Okay, should we do the wings on this one first? I think we should also do this. I think you need some of the little speckles down the wing. On the top of the legs. Yeah, look at him. So he's kind of a mess right now. He's not my.
Pretty normal at this stage, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty normal at this stage. Now it's the refine, define kind of step, which is normal, but I don't think we need to take him any further for the stream. I think you could even highlight that orange one more time. Look at that guy. Needs bright red eyes. How do you do blood spatter? I typically don't. I find it a bit too, what's the word I want to use, Tony? I'm a person who loves horror movies, but for some reason I don't typically do blood spatter on my miniatures. But the big trick is a toothbrush, and you kind of flick it, get some thin paint, red, put a little black in there. And flick it. You can also do a little red paint on a paintbrush and blow through it.
I definitely recommend practicing both those techniques before applying it to your miniature.
Oh yeah, don't just go, oh, my brand new miniature I paid $50 for, and I'm gonna lovingly paint and then not know how to do blood effects and hikika jump in there. All right, we're gonna do the wings on this one, but we're probably gonna do this in steps and switch to one of the other miniatures real quick. So we're gonna put a layer of light blue. So this is still messy, not perfect. We're trying to get ideas down. I actually do this a lot. I do a lot of test miniatures before I paint an army. I always have. And it just lets me get a couple ideas out before I commit and I get stumped somewhere. Okay, let that dry. Okay, let's do this fella. I think it needs to be a little darker. Let's do our blue wash with a little black this time. We're just going to control that wash. Once again, kind of aiming for those crevices. Those deeper recesses. Just to really deepen that blue black carapace. I think the word I want is gaudy. That's the word. It's gauche. Is that the word I want, Tony?
Sounds about right.
It's a bit gauche for Dallas. My only thing is it's overdone. Is there a particular smooth lo-fi jazz playlist recommended? There's so many playlists you can find. I'm going to recommend them all. Just go find them. Yes, look at this. Look at this midnight bug. Oh, Tony, idea. Ready?
Hit me.
He has a lightning bug butt.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
What do we think, class? Should he get a lightning bug butt? I mean, the answer is yes, no matter what y'all say.
I mean, would it just be on his butt, or would you have to put that color elsewhere to balance it out a little bit?
I think you'd put it on the blaster or something as well. Okay, so we just need a layer of ivory first. We gotta let that dry. I've sacrificed many miniatures to become the miniature painter I am today. How'd you get so good? You should see my bad ones. Okay, I think we can grab our light blue. And maybe a little touch of dark, that wash does kind of bring it back down to that. Because we don't want to get too crazy here. We can highlight. Just let the brush do its work. Maybe these have like some striation markings that look like T's almost. Loving the look of the miniatures. After working with them, do you have any idea what theme you'd go for a Geonosian army? I don't know. I don't think I have anything in mind yet. I'm kind of working it out. Like, I also don't have a CIS army. So I'm not quite sure what I would do. But it is a lot of fun just kind of working out some ideas sometimes. I mean, that's something I've done in the past as well. Is just, you know, I'll buy a box of miniatures with no intention of building an army. You know, I might buy a box of B1s and just be like, I just want to try some ideas out and just do something a little different. And then, you know, something like Spec Ops would come along and be like, oh, you can play your little battle droids that you painted up for fun. It's like, oh, cool, that's cool. But sometimes it's just nice to kind of work on something and just for the joy and goal of just kind of working out a couple ideas. So that's kind of what we're doing here. It's just like, I just want to work out a couple ideas and thought it'd be fun to kind of show how diverse these miniatures can be with a little work.
Yeah, it's also a great way because it relieves a lot of pressure from you, right? You can just experiment, try out some different things, and you don't have to worry about if you don't like it, you don't have to replicate it on a ton of miniatures, right? Or, you know, you do a handful of them and find one you like that you can use for a color scheme for a future army.
Yeah, I love it when I can just be like, I'm just gonna do something to kind of get it out of my system, right? Sometimes you just want to get something out of your system. Like you've been thinking about, like, you know, you go and, you know, you play your clones every week at the local game store, and, you know, there's that one person that plays CIS, and you're always kind of looking at those miniatures like, man, I don't know if I want to build a whole army because I don't need a whole army, but like, just man, that looks fun to paint, right? Like, or, you know, oh, I got this idea, right? Like, you know, you have an idea for what a CIS army could be, and so sometimes it's fun to just pick up a box of miniatures and just be like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna try something out, and I'm gonna just get it out of my system. It's gonna be super, super fun. Like, I love those little projects on the side, you know. And I've always had that kind of little project on the side. I just finished one up recently, like stuff I'm not gonna play, but, you know, I just wanted to paint it up. I was like, man, I just really just want to put some paint on those types of, or that miniature, or those miniatures, and just see what it's like. Just get a feel for it. And I get very excited now. See, I'm very excited. That's why I love this hobby. It's such a powerful and unique experience, right? I think this needs one more highlight. How are we doing on time? Halfway through. Okay. How's our Night Force Geonosis looking? I think he's looking pretty slick. Especially from that one angle on stream that we're working with. I think his wings should be black. Creepy red eyes or glowy teal eyes to match the lightning bug butt?
Well, that can roll into a question I was going to have for you, which is we're always talking about contrast, and right now you have a very cool temperature mini.
Mm-hmm.
What are your plans to add in that warmth? Because that can affect what you might do with the eyes and the glow.
He's got a point. He raises a valid point. Let's add some warmth. Still gotta do the lightning bug, but remember, these are sketches basically. So I think to do the warmth, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I want to take some of that fire hydrant red, right? Okay, Tony? I want to take a little bit of black. I want to mix that together. I want to put that in that black armor. This is the part where streams are complicated. So there's just a little kiss of that warmth in there, okay? Then, as you said, right? You know, and this, if I was doing this for real, you know, I'd be kicking this up to the nth degree. And then we can also do and then because he's got a lightning bug butt, gonna go back to that turquoise ink. So I love turquoise ink for like bioluminescent glows. A little bit of that turquoise ink and elements around him. Let me take a little orange. I need like a real good yellow. I'm going to use warm yellow. I did not build Poggle the Lesser for this stream. I'm sorry, chat. But rest assured, he's a fantastic little miniature twirling his little beard. What do you think of this concept?
I think I prefer that one over the blood and bone version.
So you're preferring this over blood and bone?
Yeah, just personal preference
Currently?
of color, and I like the concept a lot as well. But but I also think it has a much more muted feel than the Blood and Bone is likely to turn out.
Yeah, I think if I was going on this to like go all the way, right? I mean, definitely the black armor needs work, and the blaster will need to be highlighted, obviously. I typically do a gray non-metallic for my Star Wars blasters. But I like the blue. So I think getting a little more red into getting a little more red into the armor, I think is the way to go. Yeah? Or can you see something else there for the armor? I like the black armor because it's supposed to be night attack Geonosis.
Yeah, I'd agree with you that keeping it dark goes with the theme. We also want the miniature itself to stand out. So going above and beyond the reality of the situation might be worth considering.
True. I think it's a solid sketch, though. Well, we could even, I took a little black and red, the transparent red and black, mixing that together, see what this does. And I think there's something there for that armor, because that's really bringing it together. And I think you could also use that. So maybe philosophically, the armor and the chitin are like, maybe they use like their fallen comrades' chitin to make armor. So you could put a little bit of that same black red into the shadows. I was like, oh yeah, look at that. Yeah. Just that little kiss of purple red down in their shadows, eh?
That's looking real nice.
Yeah. I think that's what it was missing. Yeah, I think you do that over the whole thing. And then you can kick the contrast even further. You can highlight up your black armor. The eyes are nice and poppy. He's got a blue glow bug butt. Okay, I'm feeling that one. Feeling it. All right, let's go back to this fella. We also gave him red eyes. Why are they all getting red eyes? What's wrong with me? Just the worst. So this one we're talking about the how to do more of a transparent effect on the wings. And what I need is Payne's gray is close, but there's a blue gray. Oh, this is the worst part. Dark worm gray, that could work. Blue black. Let's try blue black. Tunnel dwellers. I like the idea of tunnel dwellers. Like they're just down in the. I always think of like pale and gross when I think tunnel dwellers. I may have just watched The Descent last night though, Tony. I may have just watched The Descent last night. That's a high.
That could be a very interesting color scheme.
Yeah, like real grody. Okay, ivory and what was this called again? Blue black. Okay, so I'm going to start at the edge of the wing. And I'm going to, well, that's got red in it still. Clean that brush. I want to do a little blend just to soften it. So when I say the edge of the wing, I'm talking about where the sort of chitinous, form touches the winglet, the wing form.
And just for clarity, because it's a light color and doesn't super contrast well right now on camera on the wing, you're not painting the entire plane of the wing, just that line under
Just that line.
the support. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not very contrasty yet, right? We don't have to go ham, contrast, boom, one pass, right? Sometimes you want to build in some contrast. So we're going to take our time. Go a little bit more of that blue, gray. Drawing a line to divide those elements. Sometimes you mess up. Okay, now I'm going to take that same light color blue. Need a little bit of that blue-gray in there, just to desaturate. I'm going to start adding pure white. Too much water. Not good. We'll do this kind of the easy way. Start right here on the wing edge. Accentuate that wing edge. It's got these little veinies everywhere. Kind of avoiding those. This is just smoothing out that transition. The goal here is to use a bunch of grays. Sort of like earlier we were doing ice and diamond and talking about how light moves through objects. We're kind of doing the same thing here. Like light is going to move through a transparent or translucent wing, right? It's not transparent, it's translucent. And it's going to diffuse. So by using some light grays, we can kind of create that diffused look. And then we're going to go into white, and we might throw in a little color here and there. I like vertical lines. Kind of feels more like, I don't know what's the word. Almost like stained glass. Maybe touch here and there on those veins. You want the veins a little dark they're thicker, so they're not going to pull as much light through. Think about the curve of this wing. So light's going to gather here because of the curve. Now I like doing the tips just because it looks cool.
Dallas, if you had more time or were so inclined to spend more time, would you approach these wings differently than you're doing now?
I don't think I'd approach them different. I would just spend more time like with the transitions, spend more time with color, stuff like that. But I'm going to approach them the exact same way. Once again, this is sort of a nice spot where like light is going to be sort of concentrated, so I'm going to put in a brighter dot there. And then, like I said, I like the wing tips kind of bright. Just gives a nice pinpoint accuracy point. I think that this kind of shows like sort of a bug-like translucent wing, yeah? And then you could put, sort of like we did with Ice and Diamond, you could add like little tings of color here and there, especially something that you might see on the base, like the colors of your base you could throw on there. And I'm talking super, super subtle, right? I'm talking about you're just giving this the tiniest impression. We'll do a little color. We're going to run out of time, right?
We've got about 25 minutes left, 25 minutes.
Yeah. Plus this bluish is going to look really good against that red. So let's put a little color in there. Let's do a little red because we got red on the measure. So we're just going to take some of the exact same red that we used. We're going to thin it down. Let's use some of our wonderful glaze and wash medium. Boop, one little drop. What basing would you pick? I tend to base my armies all together. So even if, so I would base them with my armies. I gotta be honest. Right up here toward the top, let's put a little bit of that red. This is very subtle. You can barely see it. Maybe this wingtip because it rolls toward the back. Let's put a little greeny blue in there, that little teal hit. Yeah, I tend to base all my stuff together. Cohesive army. I'm also the person that's like, you know, what's a unit that can work for multiple factions? A little teal in there. That looks nice. Like if I have a miniature that works for multiple factions, I typically paint multiples to match each army. Okay. So now we got our turquoisey over silver. Tony actually found this color scheme the other day when we were talking about this paint stream. Found this wonderful beetle, and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to do this like wonderful iridescent beetle. So we're going to add a little black to the teal. Yeah, there's so many variations you could do. Like I said, I tend to base my stuff all together so they all match. So if I already have a CIS army, these are going to match that, right? This is just going to darken that. Ice colony bugs, that'd be great. I would love that. Orange, Tony? Orange and teal?
You can try it. I was thinking of warming up like a yellow-green, or you could end with that.
Well, let's just throw a yellow on first, because even if we go orange, we need yellow first, right?
Copy that.
So we're going to start down here at the bottom. That is not translucent enough.
See, this is the stuff that I like too, because it's looking kind of crazy right now.
Yeah, this is weird. This is weird for me. Put a little bit. Like I said, these are just sketches, so they're not going to be perfect. We're just getting some ideas out. Okay, so I do think if we put orange toward the extremities, going toward the green, but leave that yellow in between, what do you think of that?
I agree with that.
Okay. Or red. What do you think? Red?
You've been using a lot of red. I say go with your first instinct of orange.
Go with orange. Go with orange. Did I respond to the ice colony idea? I love the ice colony idea. You could do some fun little ice rocks on the bases. Ooh, and they're all like blue, right? But you could have like the little spots too, of like dark blues, to have like that, like we did on the bone and blood scheme. I think that'd look fantastic. Just a little bit of that orange right there. You could even put just the tiniest bit of red, into the orange. Only on the toes and feet. Like right on the fingers.
Yeah, I'm loving this, Dallas. It's bold.
It's a bold choice for me, for sure. This is some Simone Elliott stuff here. try and get kicked off stream. And then what I would do here is final up with where's it at? Pure silver. All right, we only got a few minutes left because Tony and I need to go to another stream, and I need to walk over to the other studio. I need to probably get a potty break and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to end it here in just a few minutes. So if you have any final questions, now's the time to get them in. I'm going to finish up on my highlight with silver. I like this iridescent. I think there's a lot to be done here to really make this a unique color scheme. I think you could do something really, really fun here. So we tried a couple different color schemes. I think my favorite is the maybe the bone and blood. I think we didn't get to the red one. We didn't get to the red one, but we got a night strike, we got an iridescent, and we got a bone and blood. I think all these have like some really cool merits. Which one's your favorite? We talked about painting wings, sort of translucent. I think this iridescent has some real potential though. It just needs a little more. It needs a little more work. I mean, they all do. You know, we were just kind of, like I said, we were just sketching. Close-up pick on the AMG Discord. We might be able to do some close-up picks sometime. I typically, if I'm painting something, I try to finish it and put it out there for everybody. These probably won't. These are just sketches. But oh, Tony, I cracked the code. Holy cow. Oh, Tony's gone. It's summer. Burr, 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 burr. Oh, man, I put a little teal black over top of that, real glazy. Oh, boy. That is the jams. Because then you still get all those colors. But then you get it all tied back to the main carapace. Woo! That's the stuff, kids. That's the stuff. Holy guacamole. Summer, what are you going to paint your Geonosians like?
I don't know. I'm quite inspired by this gentleman that's front and center. I love that.
Yeah, look how you just want to like pick him up,
Yep.
take him home.
I'm almost getting like Lisa Frank vibes.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Some like little leopard print in there.
There's a little leopard print in there. Well, we could give him a little leopard print. I'm bold like that. Yeah, I think he just needs a little more colors hidden in there, here and there, and then that's the jams. All right, I know I gotta go to my other one. Worms coming out of the nose. My land.
What's your favorite? You set that gentleman up front to you?
Well, so I wasn't digging it, and then I put that green-black glaze over top of the orange and the yellow, and I think that's what really brought it together. I think it was just missing that because it threw in some of those dark colors around the joints, It also brought it to the green, so it's almost like the yellow and orange is under the green, kind of reaching. I'm looking at it, I think.
I know, I'm just letting you know.
So I kind of dig the iridescent, but I also like the blood and bone. I really like the blood and bone. I like the little spots on him because it adds that organic life to the bug. So I think that's one of those two. Okay, so mini extravaganza, take two. Ready? Me. Mini extravaganza continues. We're getting ready to go to another whole studio. We're going to be talking about the worthy. And then after that, we got one Mr. Will Shit coming up. He's going to be painting some Shatterpoint. It's going to be super great. So check that out. So keep on watching. Keep it on the Twitch. Here we go. Goodbye. I'm going to sing a song, Summer. Singing a song about bugs. Iridescent bugs. Bugs at our Geonosis. They're bugs.